Jesus looked across the table at God and asked, "Where have you been this last year?" And God replied, "I've been in Scotland." Jesus was shocked with a look of shock on his face. "So there's been a pandemic raging for the last year and you've been in Scotland doing what?" And God leaned over and whispered, "I've been working from home, son, working from home." Sometimes we don't actually tell the truth faster because we're afraid of being judged by others. We think we're not good enough, that our opinions are at odds, or something very real is wrong with us. So we don't divulge what's going on, explain why we can't participate, admit how we messed up, reveal why we can't donate, or express our viewpoint simply as different. Perhaps we've even been judged previously after tentatively offering an explanation, so we hesitate to open ourselves up to judgment again for the fear of being judged. Unfortunately, this kind of withholding takes up a lot of energy, requires us to monitor our conversations, plan all our actions, remember who was told what and when, and constantly formulate polite explanations for our situations. Imagine instead the freedom of simply stating your reasons and moving on. That kind of self-confidence is powerful and impressive, and few people will judge you for that kind of forthrightness. So when Charlie Collins was 9 years old, he was diagnosed with macular degradation. By the age of 13, he was declared legally blind as a result of being unable to see anything but dim shapes, colours, and areas of light. Charlie struggled through high school, tried college but flunked out twice, and started drinking and taking drugs. After moving back in with his parents and working a series of whatever odd jobs he could get, Charlie eventually started his own company, Vision Dynamics, which supplies products and services to people living with low vision blindness so they can lead independent and happy lives. But even with his ensuing business success and successful marriage itself, Charlie had low self-esteem and still considered himself that dumb little blind kid. Looking to boost his self-esteem, Charlie found an audio album, Maximum Confidence, on the internet. Later, he discovered two of Jack Canfield's audiobooks, The Aladdin Factor and The Power of Focus. For the next 2 years, he listened to the audio tapes over and over. That's when he decided to attend a 3-day seminar with him. The rest of the story is in his words. I was so impressed with what I'd learned from Jack Canfield in that early 2008. I found myself sitting in the first row at a 3-day seminar hearing a man speak live. A few weeks earlier, when I tried to register the program, I hadn't told anyone I had vision impairment. Now surrounded by more than 300 smart, successful people, I tried to hide my disability. I thought these people might feel sorry for me and look down on me as a result. It wasn't a problem the first day. I took copious notes, writing with a big black Sharpie. The only way I could see what I was writing until the lady to my right asked me to please use a different pen because the fumes from the Sharpie were bothering her. I didn't want to tell her why I needed to use that particular type of pen, so I took out a ballpoint pen and pretended to use it. Well, the next day, the hiding thing came to a head. I arrived for the morning meeting, saw her name badges laid out on the table outside on the outside door. I couldn't see the writing on them all. I looked around to make sure no one was watching me, and I bent down with my nose an inch from the badges, trying to find mine and straighten up whenever I heard someone approach, which was almost every 30 seconds or so. After a few minutes of this, I was panicked, ready to run back to my hotel room, skipping the meeting and hide until it was time for my flight to go back to Connecticut. The doors were about to close when I had an idea. The next person who walked up to the table was a woman, and I said, "Excuse me, I've left my glasses in the room. My name's Charlie. Can you pinpoint my badge for me?" She smiled and handed it to him. I thanked her, my heart pounding, and sprinted into the meeting room. At the first break, I walked up to the stage and introduced myself to Jack Canfield. We began talking, and for some reason, I told him about my experience with the name badges. After the break, I sat down in my chair, ready for more, when I heard Jack say, "Somebody please give Charlie the microphone." Then he asked me to stand up. "Hi, Charlie," Jack said. "I want you to take a look around the room at all the people in the room. Now tell them what you told me at the break." I was angry, he said. He couldn't expose me like that. How could he make me tell everyone my secret? But I did. And as I spoke, I could feel more and more power flowing inside me. At the end of my story, people clapped and cheered. Jack said, "So Charlie, I think you get it. You need to stop living your life this way. As of right now, you're no longer going to allow that legal blindness to run your life." Then he looked around the room and asked, "Is there anybody here that would say no to Charlie if approached and asked for help?" The room went nuts. Everyone was calling out, "I'd help him. I love to help. Of course I'd help." Jack continued, "Human beings are like to help each other. That's what we are here for, to serve and help each other. And all of us need help at certain times. All you have to do is tell the truth and ask. Now, do you believe me that, Charlie?" And to my surprise, Charlie said, "I did." For the rest of the seminar, Charlie had a great time. While he felt somewhat vulnerable, he was also more open, authentic, and empowered than he had been ever before. His transformation had led Charlie to what he believes is the true calling, being a motivational speaker who inspires others to look beyond life's challenges. At the same time that his company sells items that make life easier for people with impaired vision, Charlie himself is able to inspire and empower them through the personal growth workshops and classes, a unique approach that has helped his business flourish year after year. Also, Charlie travels around the world talking to groups who are both short-sighted and both sighted themselves about how they can overcome their blind spots. Just because you're not blind, it doesn't mean to say you don't have blind spots. And this is all about overcoming them. But you have to realize and tell the truth to yourself that they're there and acknowledge them before you can actually move on. So thanks to telling the truth faster, he was living an authentic life purpose, teaching people how to be genuinely see again. And I'll see you tomorrow.